Thanks again for coming to What the MySQL is this anyways?
Thanks, Stephanie.
Good morning, everyone. Who knows what MySQL is? So I can go. That was the presentation.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Okay, so who are we? My name is Giuseppe. It's a foreign name. I come from far away. I'm known in the open source community as the data charmer. I have a blog, and the only thing that you can do now and take a note of this blog and read it and send me feedback. And I come from far away. It's
a long swim.
Yeah, it's a long swim. But I recovered.
I am Sheeri Cabral. I don't work for MySQL or Sun. I work for a database company called the 15 Group. I've done a lot of community work over a couple of years. I video, as you can see, I'm videoing this presentation. I put up a lot of videos. You can see a whole bunch of stuff up at Sheeri.com. It's very easy to remember. All you have to do is be able to spell my name, which isn't so easy. I hail from Boston, Mass. Anyone from Boston, Mass? All right. Unfortunately, I am a Yankee fan because I grew up in New York. I know. Yeah, my apologies. So there's a lot of, if you want to learning, things like that, we're going to talk about the conference a little bit. There's a conference coming up next week in Santa Clara, California.
And you have a flyer about that?
You have a flyer about it. One of the things that I've done in previous conferences, and I'll be doing at this conference, is video people's workshops. So you can see previous workshops that are still relevant. You know, the online video, you can stream it, you can download it. That's the kind of community stuff I've done, in addition to blog posts and podcasts and other things. So I think that's it for me.
And what Sheeri said was not true. She said that she doesn't work for MySQL. She doesn't get paid by MySQL, but she does a lot of things.
That's true.
Okay, so MySQL or MySQL is almost the same thing. It's just a pronunciation. It's like my name. If you know how to pronounce it, we are friends. But I don't change. So with this MySQL, we make databases and we are wizards. Recently, a big corporation named Sun Microsystems had some spare cash, $1 billion, and they decided to buy us. So 1 year ago, I changed my business cards. This was the big change for me. And we are doing a campus tour in California. There is one of my colleagues who started in Montreal. Anybody from Canada here? Okay. So Montreal is that thing on top of the United States. And this guy was sick of the weather, so he took a train and he came by train to California. And now he's in San Francisco, and we are doing the south of California, starting in San Luis Obispo. So you are the lucky ones, and we got pizza. So why are we in California? Because in 1 week from now, there is the users conference for MySQL. It's the annual event. It's the biggest gathering of MySQL enthusiasts for each year. And we are trying to spread the word. So our goal is to find some audience, you. So I want you to be excited, enthusiastic about MySQL. The first thing that you are going to do after you leave this presentation is start working on MySQL and start contributing to the community. So you know what MySQL is, but are you sure you know that? MySQL is a noun, could be a verb, could be something else. You know, when something is really, really famous, it becomes part of the English language. MySQL or MySQL could become a a different part of the English language. It's not only known, it's a phenomenon. Now, we don't know exactly, but we can ask Google. Who knows about Google? Come on. So if you ask
Who knows
Google...
about Google the verb or Google the noun?
Nah. So we Google it. It's a verb. So if we look for MySQL in Google, we get 210 million hits. If we look for the others, Postgres, 19 million. Oracle, have you heard about Oracle? Okay.
Who use Oracle?
But you know, if we are talking about a phenomenon, we have to look at the competition. So we look for Madonna.
Let's be clear on this. Madonna is about 10 times as much as PostgreSQL, but it's or no, half of MySQL.
Let's try another competition, political. If you look at Obama. So MySQL is more popular than Madonna and can be the next US president. So what is MySQL? It's a piece of software, it's a database. You can define it in some different way. It's part of the business of Sun Microsystems. It's a bunch of money for Sun, a bunch of money for me. It's the basis for most of the platform that you can see in the web. Or you can see it's a huge community. Or it's just a phenomenon, as I said before. And he's my employer, so I get a paycheck. Now, I can give you the academic description. MySQL, this is a mouthful, is a relational database. You know about a relational database from Sun Microsystems, the owner. Can store data persistently in several operating systems. And it can be accessed by several programming languages. So, do we have an idea about MySQL from this definition? You know? Okay, good, you are honest. So let's try to have a simpler definition. Do you know about Facebook?
Yes.
Who doesn't have a Facebook page? Okay, so if you look at Facebook, you have things like your name, your inbox, so how many messages you receive, your status, the status of your friends, a comment on the status of your friends, picture posted by your friends, the birthdays of your friends, how many online friends you have. Every piece that you see here in red is MySQL. So Facebook is a user application. It has 200 million users, and it runs on MySQL. This is MySQL, is the backbone of the web. The best definition that you can have of MySQL is that it's the most popular database in the world. The most popular open source database, we can say, even though we have seen that it is even more popular than Oracle, which is not open source at all. And MySQL is part of the LAMP stack. You know, the LAMP, Linux, Apache, MySQL, and then a bunch of Ps, depending on your religion. It could be Perl, PHP, Python, PostgreSQL. And as I was saying before, the M is gone. So if you have some spare change, you can apply for the A, L, or I don't know, depending if you find somebody who sells it to you. Why MySQL is so popular and why it works so well? It's part of the culture. MySQL is a virtual company and it relies a lot on people. People work from home in MySQL. So we don't gather in an office in the morning. We just wake up, go to the garage or to the balcony, depending on the weather, and work on there. So we are like a global village. We don't have corridors. I mean, if I have a problem and I want to call a colleague, in a normal company, I open the door and say, Paul, I need help. And in my company, I just go to IRC and I write, Paul, I need help. And if Paul is not asleep, or if he's in the right time zone, he will answer me. Or if we need a conference call, we use voice over IP. In essence, the web is our home. So coming back to the value of MySQL. MySQL is the engine behind the web. It's the online database. Mostly everything that runs on the web has some relationship with MySQL. Look at this chart. This is the list of the 20 more popular websites in the world. The green ones run MySQL. You may have heard about Yahoo, Google, YouTube, Facebook. Microsoft, forget about that.
Well, on MSN.
Really?
Yeah, they used.
Yeah, MSN.
They were using Microsoft's password.
Forget about that.
Yeah.
What's wrong with High 5?
Hmm?
What's wrong with High 5?
Nothing's wrong with it. They just don't run MySQL.
Yeah.
What do they use? High 5 runs on Postgres. And it's a social networking site. It looks like it's a Great Britain social networking site.
So one of the most important questions, most recurring questions that I get when I present MySQL is, how do you make money? Who is paying you salary and how do they get the money? So MySQL, as I said, is a popular database, popular open source database, so you can use it for free. We have a huge user base. Estimated user base of something like 15 million users. And one small part of this database users become customers. How does it work? You start MySQL, you like it, you use it, you are up and running in 15 minutes, and everything is fine. One day, you have the misfortune of being successful. You know, instead of having 100 customers, you have 1 million. And then you don't scale. This is when you call us, and we help you, and you give us some money. So when you become successful, remember, you may need help. Community. How does MySQL expand? There is a huge community, and there are tools in the web where the community meet, and you can use it to find more about MySQL, to participate. There is MySQL Forge, where you can see the projects. So if you have a project that is related to MySQL, you can post on the Forge. If you have some smart code related to MySQL, you can post on the Forge. Or you can see the work logs, so what is planned, the planned features for MySQL, you can see that on the Forge. And of course there is a wiki where you can read and also write, participate. Community is also articles, blog. I'm a blogger, remember, there is my blog there.
Does anyone here blog a non-personal blog? Like a computer blog? You do, I do. Giuseppe does. And some colleges have you do like blogs for some courses. So.
There are events, so we go to the conference and we speak in public. We do virtual events. There is MySQL University every Thursday. It's a free class where some experts will tell about very obscure topics that we will never hear in the wild. So if you are really a geek, you should attend.
Yes.
Nothing more.
Yeah, not used to it.
So we are talking about blogs. Most of MySQL blogs are aggregated into Planet MySQL. If you look there, you will see my name, but this was 1 year ago. But anyway, my name is still on the top, and Sheeri is there as well, but she writes a lot. So planetmysql.org, you can find blogs about MySQL. And then, more technically, MySQL has a huge community also because it cares about the technology that you can use with MySQL. So if you are using Windows, anything related to Java or any other programming language, there is a connector for you. MySQL has something that works with your connector, with your language of choice. Anyway, there is a C library that is the base of most of the connectors. Then there is a Java library that is standalone, and there is a .NET library that is also standalone. So depending on your programming language, you will find something to talk to MySQL. And as I said before, MySQL works in most operating systems, except Palm, I think.
The Palm, yeah.
Yeah. Also my watch. I tried, but still. Next year maybe. So see, this is a Mac. I run MySQL. I have a, I don't know if you can see this sticker here. My other computer is a data center, it's true, and I have a bunch of MySQL there. And one of the things about MySQL has been designed to be really, really easy to port from one place to another. So if you have a database on Windows, you can just take it and transport, copy the files into Linux, and it will work. Or from Linux to Solaris, or from Solaris to Windows, it will work. One other reason why MySQL may be for you is that MySQL can scale. Now, what I told you before, that you can just start, and then when you have to scale, you need help, it's not exactly true. If you are smart, you don't need help. This is why you are attending the college. So, you are here to become smart or to become smarter, and if you can read a manual, if you can fiddle with software, you can just take the built-in replication of MySQL and scale your system like Yahoo does. The problem with replication is that you have one master where you write and several slaves where you read. It's not exactly easy to handle if you're not used to it. So there is another mechanism that is called MySQL clusters, where there is a peer-to-peer node, and each node is read and write. Now the problem with cluster is that it's very expensive. Expensive not because you have to pay, since it's open source, but because you need a lot of central memory for that. And it's not a drop-in replacement, so it works well for telecommunication companies, but not for your normal PHP application. But it's good to know that it's there. One peculiarity of MySQL is that it's not only one database, it's several databases in one. So within MySQL you can find a database that is not transactional, that is very fast. A database that is transactional is a little bit slower, but it's probably the most efficient transactional database in the web. There is a database there is an engine that is all in memory, and there is a merge system that was used before MySQL 5.1 to do some sort of partitioning. There is a question there?
Yeah. What do you mean by a transactional database?
Transactional database means that you can...
This is a great question. Yes, the question was, what do you mean by transactional database? Does anyone here who's taken a database class know what a transactional database means? What does it mean to be transactional?
A database that do a lot of save and updates.
A database that what about the updates?
Do a lot of save and updates.
It saves the updates?
Yeah.
So Okay.
I was going to say it allows you, depending on your transaction level, to, if you're doing like 2 updates kind of interleaved or concurrently, it makes sure that they don't mess with each other, that you don't like say, oh, what's here, and then someone else says something and you say, oh, what's here, and you get a different what's here.
Good. So he was talking about durability. She's talking about isolation. Are there any more qualities of a transactional database?
If an error happens, it'll roll back everything you've done, so it's
Consistency.
it's
Yes.
Consistency.
yeah.
Any others? There's one more. Atomicity, which means that whatever you're doing in your transaction, it all happens or it all doesn't happen. So if I'm transferring money from checking to savings, and I'm taking $100 out of my checking and putting it into savings, if I take $100 out of my checking and the system crashes, I haven't just lost that $100. It will roll back and say, okay, you didn't really take that $100 out because you didn't finish the transaction. So that's what you mean by transactional data.
On the other hand, if you are using something that you need only for reading, like a data warehouse, MyISM is a perfect choice. Also because the data there is already coming from a transactional layer. Then we have several engines that were introduced in MySQL 5.0. Federated can let you query remote databases. Black hole, that is a database that doesn't store anything. Why do you need something like that? It's just to run tricks. I will show you an example later. And archive is something that stores your data and squeezes it. So with federated, you have the data in server B, and from server A, you just pretend that the data is there, and you can query it. With black hole, you just send the data is discarded, but it does something with binary logs and triggers, so you can run some complex application without making any programs. With archive, you just squeeze the data to a small format, but it's transparent to you. So if you can combine these engines, you can make an application without problem. For instance, in this case, you have a general log where you record your queries. That is a federated table. The federated table points to a black hole table in a remote computer. And within the black hole, you have triggers that will do something with the data. Then you have plugins. Plugins means that you can create one part of the database without modifying the whole database itself. It's a new thing that is introduced in MySQL 5.1 and allows you to write a new engine, for instance, and plug the engine live while the server is running. So you don't have to stop the server to introduce a new feature. And the latest arrival is MySQL proxy. Now, if you are a genius at C++, you can just take the server and modify it. If C++ is not really your cup of tea, you can take MySQL proxy, which is, how can I say, an intruder between the server and the client. The proxy can listen to the client, get the query. It has a script inside, a very simple script in Lua language. You can do whatever you want with the query and then send it to the server. Or you can send it back to the client pretending to be the server some strange results. I'm going to show you an example. Now, MySQL 5.1 is GA. GA means general availability. MySQL 5.1 is the latest release of MySQL. This is a t-shirt that was created for MySQL 5.1. It has been made in a limited number, has been given only to the people that have contributed to MySQL. So my name is there. This means that I can answer the hard questions. Okay? So if you have hard questions, we are here. So before we run to the questions, I want to show you one example. Let's see. Have you ever seen this command? You know SQL, don't you? Yes? SQL? Structured Query Language? Yes. Have you ever seen make coffee? But it works. Okay. So you can make coffee with MySQL proxy, so with MySQL plus proxy. But you know, the main developer of this feature is German. He doesn't like coffee. So I had to do something like this. Make German coffee. And it so you see, this is a database. If you know MySQL, you know that this is a command that you can execute. It was just to show you that with MySQL proxy and MySQL, you can really do wonders. So now we can answer some questions. And I'm here for the hard ones. I'm not giving away this feature. Question?
Or if you follow the thing about Giuseppe's blog and my blog are all aggregated to Planet MySQL.
Planet MySQL.
So if you don't want to remember two things,
yes,
just remember one.
PlanetMySQL.org. Yes.
What exactly does the proxy server do in that example that you just showed?
In that example, now the proxy server is an application that sits between the client and the server, and it can run a Lua script. Lua is a programming language like anything else, so you can access everything in the operating system. So whenever it captures a query that says make coffee, it will run an application saying show this picture. So it's a trick. I was cheating.
But the idea is similar. It intercepts
Yeah.
what you type, and you send it, and then it says, okay, I got it. It may or may not do something with it. It may or may not pass it along through to the MySQL server. This one didn't, because that would obviously cause an error.
Yeah.
But if you want to do logging or something, you could save it to a file and then pass it to the MySQL server. And then it does something with the results. In this case, it just says query OK, one row executed.
No, you said yes, one
It did.
row.
And it comes back. So it's intercepting on both sides, the sending and the returning. And because of that, you can do a lot. Anything you can program in Lua, you can do.
So really the detailed question, why Lua?
Why Lua? Because if you, okay, for instance, if you do Perl you can do perfectly well with Perl, but Perl will be 10 megabytes just to say hello world. And if you do PHP, it will be even worse. So Lua is only 200 kilobytes and has been designed for being embedded. So this is the main reason why Lua.
And then thanks everybody for coming. There's a little bit of pizza left. I have some free giveaways and stuff too at this front table. So
I have you outside for questions.